Okay, so good evening and welcome to Green Party Women's Hustings. As a member of the outgoing committee, I've got to say good luck to all the candidates tonight. It's an incredible role if you get it. And I'm somewhat envious, but somewhat exhausted too. So, we're going to open with 2-minute candidate statements and close with 30-second candidate statements. Tonight, the voting will open at midnight and you should receive your details if you're eligible to vote. And those eligible to vote are members of Green Party Women.
I was going to say it's members of Green Party Women who are women, identify as women or identify as gender variant. So it's not all members of Green Party Women who can vote. If you have an issue, then you can contact the EROs.
And we're going to start the evening then with the opening statements, 2 minutes from each of the individual candidates and a shared 2-minute for our one job share. And we're starting with Zoe. Zoe, your 2 minutes start when you start talking.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much, Tina, and thanks everybody else for being here. My name is Zoe. I'm from Chiltern Green Party. And for those of you who don't know, it's been my absolute delight to work alongside and more recently to be co-opted onto Green Party Women Committee. I've been helping with things like chairing public meetings, advising on constitutional matters, dry but necessary, and of course, just mucking in wherever I could to be an extra pair of hands for the team. I've been so proud to see what the team has done this year and what they've achieved to put our special interest group on the map. And I would really like to see Green Party Women becoming such a dynamic force for change and a force for good within the party and further afield. I mentioned the legacy of the sisters that have built up and raised women's voices so much already, because I really believe that I can be the continuity candidate, really, that puts me in a strong position to have the experience of working with the team last year and taking that learning forward to take us to bigger and better places across 2022 and into 23. To 23-24. I don't even know what year it is. As any good chair knows, it's not really down to me or to anybody else to tell you what to do, but really to lead through collaboration and through consensus building. I passionately believe that where there is disagreement, it should not only be tolerated, but actually welcomed, because when we listen to differing voices, that's when we get creative and collaborative best answers and the best outcomes. So I'd really want to build on that strategy and build into a way forward for the rest of the team across the rest of the year, and listening to everybody's voices and making sure that we can pull together as a united team. Thanks very much.
Wonderfully concise. Sarah, we're within time on that one. Next up is Cheska. If you'd like to, when you're ready, as soon as you start talking, your 2 minutes start.
I'll hold off for Sarah for a moment until she's reset.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be considerate. Yes, that's clearly not in my mind. Sorry, Sarah. Reset, ready to go when you are, Cheska.
Perfect. Thanks very much, everyone. If elected as the Green Party Women co-chair, I would make it my #1 priority to get more Green women elected. Women of every age, class, colour and faith. And getting women elected is something that I know how to do. As election coordinator for a development constituency, I've worked with our fantastic field and regional teams to develop the strategy that we need for our next phase of growth. As a campaign organizer, I've worked on local, mayoral and general election campaigns. I know what it takes to get women to stand, to build successful teams, and most importantly, to win first past the post. And as a candidate myself, I know how important it is to build up people's confidence and to help them develop the skills that they need in order to run a great campaign. I was at the London Assembly hustings on Saturday, and I was really inspired by the diversity of candidates we have to choose from. But importantly, we were reminded by Hamza Agal that as a party, it's our responsibility to reach out to our communities and find out what's stopping them from voting Green. And therefore, if elected as co-chair, I would make that my second priority. I would actively reach out to diverse women's groups across the country, Green and otherwise, listen to their needs and concerns, what's stopping them from, crossing to our party, and work with other liberation groups to develop the policies that we need to win more votes from women nationally. At every stage of my professional volunteering life, I've championed the needs of women, whether that be increasing maternity pay, reviewing menopause leave, and standing up for sexual harassment victims when I've seen it. And I've publicly called out people in positions of power to make that change happen. So please vote for me as your first choice co-chair candidate if you want to see more women elected. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Next up, and I just wanted to say excellent to starting and everyone staying to time. Thank you very much, and good luck to all the candidates this evening. Next up, we have Nicole Haydock. So your 2 minutes start when, Sarah, you ready with your timer? Yeah, so your 2 minutes start when you do, Nicole.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Just before I do, newcomers to the room again. Oh no, I think everyone did it. It was just there was some videos and audio on, but it's all right. It's covered. Sorry, Nicole.
It's okay. So I'm standing as the for the post of co-chair, and I have been a member of the committee for a year, just in case you missed me. I was a post holder, non-portfolio. I have been active in left politics all my life, as a trade unionist as well, and a member, an active member of the feminist movement. I joined the Green Party 16 years ago because of my increasing awareness then of the impact of global warming and the unsustainable inequalities between rich and poor. What attracted me to the Green Party in particular was the fact that it is a party and also a campaigning organization which base its analysis and policies on the science and with a philosophy and a set of values that I shared. So what experience will I bring to the role as co-chair? I served as Bury Green Party for about 9 years, was elected on the regional council to represent the Northwest region for 2 consecutive mandates, and acted as local party support officer during that period. I also created and co-chaired Greater Manchester Green Party Forum, bringing together 10 local parties that have never worked together to prepare for the first mayoral election campaign, and I acted as the campaigns manager. Finally, I would also be keen, if elected, to open up a much overdue debate about the issue of transphobia and a Green Party definition of transphobia. So I think that's all I've got to say, really. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Next up, it'll also probably help as well, for, as Nicole just did, if the candidates say what role they're running for as well. So next up is Talia, and if Sarah's ready, your 2 minutes start when you start speaking.
Hello, my name is Talia Hussein. I am running for the Secretary of Green Party Women. I'm a local member in Islington Green Party, where I am the treasurer, and have also twice been the selected general election candidate, first in 2019 and now again for whenever, hopefully soon, we will have another general election. I've also run twice for the local council, and I know how many amazing women leaders we have in the Green Party, from amazing, incredible local councillors to our foremost senior elected people who are all women. And I know that in the past, it's been really, Green Party Women has played a really important role in onboarding those people into frontline politics and election campaigning. And I would like to help bring new impetus to that effort. There's so much opportunity for women to get involved in local and frontline politics, community politics, in a way that makes an enormous difference. And I would like to see more events, activities, and engagement with members, encouraging women to stand, getting women elected, and mentoring women into positions of leadership. I would be particularly interested in working with our other liberation groups, including Greens of Color, to get more women of color standing and elected. As the secretary, I would like to be, as I said, working cooperatively with the other liberation groups. And I would like to be communicating more to members of Green Party Women, getting more members engaged with activities, with mentoring, with learning about what's involved in standing for election, and nurturing the amazing green women talent that we know is out there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Sarah, if you're ready, then the next one is Sue, and your time starts when you do.
Hello, I'm Sue Williams, Rother Green Party, also standing for the position of Secretary. After 10 years as Secretary of my school's PTA, I've all the skills and experience necessary to carry out this role efficiently and effectively. I'd like to talk about what Green Party Women means to me and the wider contribution I can make. I'm a comparatively new member of the party. When I joined, I was warmly welcomed by my local party, and I soon became actively involved, going to all the meetings, taking part in every event the local party runs. But I did feel rather disconnected from the national party, and joining Green Party Women a year ago gave me a sense of belonging. I don't think we should underestimate the importance of things like clubs and social events. Talking to women at our book club helped me feel at home in the Green Party Women, and that gave me a connection with the wider party. I'd like to carry on these clubs, start more, maybe a film club where we discuss films made by women directors. And of course, I want to find out what you, our members, would be interested in. The events run by this year's committee, such as Spy Cops, where we learned how undercover police are targeted female environmental campaigners, or the Afghan event, where we learned how girls and women are effectively being placed under house arrest for the crime of being female, have informed me and energised me. I was proud to walk behind the Green Party Women banner when we marched in London in support of our Afghan sisters. And I want to build on this legacy by working with the rest of the committee to organise further events. There are so many issues which affect women as a class, and I've got some ideas already, but I may have time to elaborate more in questions later. And besides the social role and campaigning role of Green Party Women, I think we need to raise up the voices of women within the party. Environmentalism and the cost of living crisis have a disproportionate effect on women. We should be at the forefront of policy making. I want to work with the rest of Green Party Women's new committee to put women at the heart of our party. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sue. Next up, Devon, and if Sarah's ready, then Devon, when you start speaking, the clock will start rolling. And thanks to all the candidates for being so good with their times.
Great, thank you very much. So my name is Devon and I'm running for membership secretary. Just briefly, a little bit about me. I've stood formally as the election officer of my local party across different elections. I stood as a local candidate in this last May, and I narrowly missed out. So I've got a bit of free time on my hands. You know, after you finish a campaign, you're chomping at the bit to do something else. I have formally worked for the Green Party, and I'm very comfortable and competent with our CRM and being able to email and communicate with other members. During my day job, I've also run two women's support groups in my local community that's encouraged a sense of safety and confidence in an inclusive space for them, which has been a real highlight for me. And I really want to say thank you to all of the outgoing officers and the current candidates, our EROs, and everybody that's come in today to watch and to vote as well afterwards. This is exactly the kind of action that gets me really excited to be in the Green Party in the first place, because let's face it, it doesn't happen unless you lot vote, or unless we hold this meeting, or unless we all come together and we actively seek to make positive change. And as membership secretary, I'd like us, it's two things really. I'd like us to be out there. I want to get more women elected, and make sure we have a seat at the table, and also to make sure that if we're not out there, then we're in here. We're making policy that really reflects the needs of what we need as women, whether it's childcare or whatever it is. We need to make sure that we've got a seat at the table. I want to make sure that our members of Green Party Women have a sense of confidence, exactly the same as I've already done in my previous groups, my support groups, to make sure that they know that they have a sense of safety and they can have a voice with us.
Thank you so much, Devon. Just in the nick of time. Next up is Anne, and if Sarah's ready, then Anne, when you start speaking, the timer starts for 2 minutes. And if you just say the role as well.
Right, hello, I'm Anne from Gwent, and I'm standing for the treasurer role. I want to get more involved in Green Party Women, as it's obvious to me that time is definitely running out for taking the action that's needed to maintain a livable planet. And I have grandchildren and I want them to have a future. I've always got involved in my local community, and I am able to take on a range of tasks and roles. And so if elected, all of my skills and experience would be available for the committee to make use of. I have chosen to put myself forward as the treasurer this time, as it's a role that I've undertaken many times in the past, and it's something I actually enjoy doing. I'd also like just to say that I've been an active member of Green Party Women. I've attended a range of different Zoom meetings, as well as the book club and the Green Witches, which I've immensely enjoyed. And I even was lucky enough to be able to provide a presentation of my pictures and videos of birds from all my different travels. So I hope I haven't bored people too much when I've done that. And I certainly would be willing to take over organising events like that and other events in the future and helping out with whatever is required. I feel it's been an important part of the Green Party Women because it links isolated members like myself, and it does help us to get to know people and be encouraged to getting more involved. And whether that's just for standing for election in this or in the wider field, it's all good. Personally, I have a keen interest in equality and women's rights, and I just hope that we can work together and you'd elect me as the treasurer.
Thank you so much, Anne, by the skin of your teeth. Okay, next up is Lorna, and again, if Sarah's ready, let's move straight on with Lorna in your 2 minutes.
Brilliant, thank you. I'm Lorna Russell. I'm a Green Party member living in Camden. I'm currently a campaigns officer for Camden Green Party. I'm also a former Camden councillor, role which I had for 8 years, and former deputy mayor of Camden. So I'm putting myself forward for the role of treasurer for the Green Party Women Committee, primarily because I want to be involved in the committee and the important work that you're doing in helping to create a really safe space where all women and all our non-binary members are supported, and where we can reflect, connect with each other and really flourish with ourselves. So in my professional life, I'm a policy consultant, primarily working in the education sector. And I'm also, as I said, a former councillor. So I believe that I'm really well placed to contribute insights and advice to support GPECs and our elected representatives to develop party policy on the key issues that are impacting women today. Some of the areas that I'd really like to see the committee focus on in the next year, issues relating to violence and harassment against women. I think that's a really, really important issue right now at the moment. Representation in politics, you know, we all know there's a lot more that we can do to improve diversity among elected representatives and ensure that women do have a seat at the table, and also how the cost of living crisis is impacting women and things like the cost of childcare within that. When formulating policy, I would endeavour to ensure that all of the policies we develop draw on the experience and expertise of our members and are totally inclusive. And just with my last few seconds, to talk about my experience as treasurer, I'm currently chair of Hustings Community Centre, which is a community centre and Shawsat Centre in Camden, and I'm also treasurer of my residents association as well. So I've both set and managed budgets and spent a long time on the phone to Bankline. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is Laura, and if Sarah's ready, then Laura, you can start your 2 minutes and the timer will start when you do. Laura, you're on mute.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Hi, I'm Laura Eckott. I'm the Chichester and Arran Green Party. I'm standing on as a non-portfolio. My experience of raising a disabled daughter as a lone parent, working in the NHS as a mental health nurse, studying a degree in chemistry, specifically climate science, and coordinating my local Green Party have made me the person I am today. When I was a nurse, I had to learn to engage in effective teamwork and understand duty of care for all my patients. This has supported the skills needed to coordinate the local party, engage in policy working groups, and organise successful election campaigns. I've had to learn and understand how the political system impacts my daughter and I, giving me first-hand knowledge of the cycle of poverty that many people with a disability and mental health conditions are forced into due to the absence of social responsibility. My studies have educated me about the climate crisis and have given me the academic capacity to understand the importance of research-based conclusions rather than a biased perceptions of expected outcomes. Supporting my disabled daughter to be a youth cabinet member for West Sussex County Council has shown me how to be a strong advocate for intersectional feminism in politics. I wish to challenge and deconstruct patriarchal structures in my everyday life, and this follows through to my efforts within the Green Party, as well as externally with the various organisations and charities I support. For example, the last 2 years I've been an active member of Elect Her and Parliament 50/50, which aims to increase representation of women in politics. I have also been a delegate for the UK at the UN Women's Commission on the Status of Women, learning how the climate crisis disproportionately impacts women across the globe and the steps being taken to remove the exposure to harm. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And again, if Sarah's ready, we're going to keep on moving quickly. And so if Jude's ready, the moment you start speaking, your 2 minutes start. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Hello, my name's Jude English. I am from Bristol Green Party, one of the largest Green parties in the country. I've previously been coordinator of Bristol Green Party, and I'm currently a councillor. I've been a councillor for 6 years. I'd really like to join the committee because although I've been a campaigner and a feminist, all my life, I think this is an extremely important time to be amplifying and taking real notice of the voices of women across the whole of society, but particularly in the Green Party. Green Party Women is the largest special interest group, but really I feel that some of the really important political aspirations and needs and issues relating to women have been a little bit sidelined in the party of recently. So I'm interested in talking about policy. I'm interested in thinking about how we can make things better for all women in the party, particularly, I suppose, women who want to stand to be elected. I know myself how difficult it is, how much time it takes, how difficult it is to keep being elected once you've been elected, because it's not just the getting elected, it's the staying in the job when there's so many pressures on women generally across the board. I've got experience previously of being on GPRC. I know how the Green Party works. And one of the things I want to do is make sure that there are more resources available for Green Party women to get involved, perhaps in fundraising, finding out how we can have more access to leadership more directly. I feel that Green Party women's voices needs to be much stronger in the party. One of the most important things for me is policy. We haven't got strong policy to do with women's rights. There are lots and lots of external organisations I feel we should be spending more time talking to, think tanks, important organisations like Filia and the Women's Rights Network, who have some very important things to say about how we manage policy for women in the 21st century. So I'd like to bring some of my policy expertise to the table and work with the rest of these fabulous women. Thanks.
Right on time. Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, now we go to our job share candidates. That's Siobhan and Mariette. So I think it's Mariette, you starting, and then Siobhan when you're ready.
Yes.
And your time starts when you do. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mariette, and I'm from the Hounslow Green Party, and I'm standing as non-portfolio job share. I was a membership officer for my local party and was also the secretary of the Security, Peace and Defence Policy Working Group. I'm an activist with Stop the War Coalition and the local Friends of the Earth. As committee members of Green Party Women, Siobhan and I will support all campaigns and events which emphasize safeguarding the environment and women's sex-based rights. I would also like to suggest some events, as an example, an informative meeting or fringe about the Nordic model for prostitution and how Green Party women can be involved in introducing this approach in the relevant policy chapters. As a yoga teacher, I would also like to explore how I could offer a yoga class to Green Party women. Siobhan and I would also like to assist Green Party women to develop strong links with external organizations such as Filia and Nordic Model Now. And now over to Siobhan.
Hi there. I'm Siobhan from Oxford, and Mariette and I want to contribute to the Green Party Women's Group that's been so welcoming to us and encouraging to us as new members, and because it's obvious that women and children do bear the brunt of the environmental and economic catastrophe that's on us. So I want to step up now and do some work and learn more about the organisation of the party. My last job was being a midwife for 25 years, and before that I worked in admin and criminal justice, the voluntary sector and local government. I've been an active member of 3 trade unions and 2 other political groups in the past. Social justice issues are an integral part of my feminism and politics, which the Green Party have now brought to the foreground, and I'd like to see more working class women involved too. Although a clinical midwife, I had a major role with the digital maternity record, service communication, and I organised conferences and training so I can support future activities and events. Along with Mariette, I'm particularly interested in women's health and safety and would like to be involved in the work on these issues. She and I think, can really well complement each other's skills and experience in this role. So thank you for everyone for listening to us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, just one to go on the opening statements now, and that's Moira's. So if Sarah's ready, Moira, the clock will start when you start. You have your 2 minutes.
Thank you very much indeed, Tina. Thank you to the outgoing committee for all the great work you've done through the year, and to the EROs for this very slick hustings. Thank you for that. I'm Moira Dunworth. I don't have a local party because I live in Edinburgh, but I'm a long-standing member of the Green Party of England and Wales, and I'm a long-standing member of Green Party Women. My particular expertise and what I offer to this group for 1 year is I offer my particular expertise in managing constitutional stuff. That's technical term stuff. And I believe that if we're to move past the current impasse that we're at as a group, that we must move forward in a very democratic. We must move forward with the due process. We must continue the due process that has been started, and we must take it on and look at the 2 issues that are causing such angst within our group, which is numbers 2 and 3 of the proposed constitution, our aims and objectives, and our voting membership. There are legitimate questions, a number of legitimate questions about how we should agree those things. And I would like to offer my expertise in navigating through a process by which out at the other end, we might have a group of people who all feel respected and heard, and who are going to work together and move forward together. Yeah, and then we need a modern constitution. But until we do that, I don't think we can have the modern constitution we desperately need. So I'm offering my skills to help the group to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Moira, and thank you to all the candidates for this excellent 2-minute opening statements and for sticking to time. Next up, we're going to have a question that is just for the co-chair roles. So the question is this: women are currently underrepresented on the Policy Development Committee. All policy working groups are required to consult underrepresented groups before they take a new policy to conference. So the question is, how will you ensure that women's views are represented in all policies, and those policies shared with Green Women before being presented to the conference? As soon as you start talking, Jessica, your 90 seconds start.
So I'm going to start by saying that all of the experience that we've just heard and the variety across the board just shows that not only do women's voices need to be heard as a whole, but also the specific skills and expertise that we bring to the table, particularly in women-dominated industries such as childcare, midwifery, but also women's safe spaces, need to be heard. And so what I guess I would do as a first step is to identify where we have those subject matter experts within Green Party Women, so that when a policy does come up, we know exactly who we can call upon and the depth of knowledge that we have there. Second, I would increase our communication with other liberation groups, GPECs, and the different policy working groups. Firstly, just to introduce ourselves, to find out what people's priorities are, what they've got coming up, and to not take no for an answer. to ensure that every policy has the Green Party Women review before it goes ahead to conference, and to make sure that any amendments or questions that need to be raised are done so in accordance with the process of every conference twice a year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cheska. And now the same question and the 90 seconds to respond to Zoe. If Sarah's ready with the, I'm sorry, Sarah, am I rushing you? You're ready? Okay, Zoe, it starts when you do.
Thank you. And yeah, what a great and interesting question to have to speak to. It's really interesting that it's come to co-chairs. I think it could be something that all of us could relate to, whoever is going to be on the team taking things forward. For me, as ever, it comes back to building that strong team. And so that's a circle of the inner team, which is the committee, and then building processes really of consultation. Sometimes one of the things I would love to do and work in conjunction with Devon, I think it might be safe to say that you're going to be the, well, if things go to plan, you're going to be the membership officer. So working with you and other members of the team to building surveying of our members to really get some granularity on what their views are, on what their concerns are, and really make sure that the committee is representing those views and making sure that there's two-way conversations that are happening in a number of different ways, using all of the tech that is available to us now, holding panels, holding mini conferences. There's another thing that I would love Green Party Women to do next year, is to have some sort of mini conference where we have new ways of coming together and discussing our different ideas, and really making sure that, as I've said before, all of those women's voices are raised up. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Zoe. Next, the same question and the same 90 seconds when you're ready.
So can I start? Yes. Okay, thank you, Sarah. Well, this raises the whole question of conference, doesn't it? Which is the supreme body of the party that makes all policies. Now, I have been battling for the last 10 years to actually try and get conference to become more democratic, more accountable. Until and unless conference becomes accountable and where local parties are properly represented in decision making, we won't get that much more involvement of women at any level of policy making. We have to find a way to make conference relevant to all the women in the party, and so that they feel that they are part of it. And my view is that it's because local parties are completely detached from conference. What we have is a complete domination of conference now by the well-organized designated groups. It could be ours, there are others, and they dominate the agenda. Policies can be made through motions, so individual people, a group of people can push forward motions. All the women here could put forward motions, but they're also made by the Policy Development Committee. And until conference becomes relevant to the majority of women in the party, I'm afraid I don't think the Policy Development Committee will have that many more women in it. Doesn't mean we shouldn't try to encourage them to take part in it, but you know, it's a hard job.
Is that your answer finished now, Nicole? Yep, that's lovely. Thank you very much. Okay, brilliant. That concludes the questions that were separated off just for the co-chairs. So now we're going to move on to, and again, everybody breathe. We're ready to move on to the next bit. And I'm going to read out the question. And again, you'll all have 90 seconds. You'll get a 30-second warning. And it looks like we'll be starting with Jude if you want to listen in. And I'll give you the question, the first question for all candidates. And Jude will be starting. What, including events, have you most appreciated about Green Party Women this last year? And how would you build on this? Take into account also any ideas you might have for events in the coming years, or particular issues you're keen to promote and work on. So things you've enjoyed, things you'd like to see more of, and things you'd personally like to champion. So Jude, as soon as you'll start speaking, Sarah will start the timer. You have your 90 seconds and you'll get a 30-second warning, and then it'll be over to Maura. Thank you.
Yes, great. Well, it's been a really good year for Green Party Women, hasn't it? There's been such a lot of fantastic events. It's really hard to think of which ones, but like another candidate, I did really enjoy the Helen Steele. The stuff about spy cops is such an important issue, and bringing some of these really interesting women who are party members or were party members to Green Party women is one of the things I'd like to do. I've already got a kind of list of really important, intelligent, critically thinking women that we could approach to come and give seminars or run conversations. I think that's really important to bring some of the political discussion up. I'm also involved in film. I've got a qualification in film studies. I'm very interested in feminist dystopian science fiction, and I've got a raft of stuff I'd love to talk to women about there. I was really pleased. I'm in Bristol, so I've got contact with some women who were on the committee last year. So we're in the same place. So we meet for coffee, we have chats about stuff. And so that's been really great to, for example, attend Filia with a group of Green Party women, which was a fantastically nourishing and wonderful experience. And I'd really like to have more women at Filia in Glasgow next year. Last year's was on women, violence against women. There was such a lot of fantastic speakers and such a lot of information and fantastic policy ideas that I think that having more women attend Glasgow would be a fantastic thing. Am I running out of time? 3, 2, 1.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much, Jude. And next up is Moira. And when Sarah's ready, if you're ready, Moira, when you start speaking, you'll have 90 seconds. And can you see the question, or did you need it reading?
Yes,
or you're okay?
No, I have the question. Thank you. What I've appreciated most about GPW in the last year is the way that the committee have embraced technology to make the group accountable and engaging and as democratic as is humanly possible. And I know that there's an awful lot of us who really see it far enough, but that's where we are now in the world. And I've really appreciated the willingness of all of the committee members to step up to the mark and to upskill yourselves. I think that's been really great. And there's a legacy for the new committee there we can build on. In terms of what events I want to see in the coming year, you see, I'm a single issue woman, like it or not, and therefore I would like to see events focused on debating the constitutional issues that we need to grapple with, the issues about our purposes, the questions of our purposes and our voting membership. And I think I would envisage maybe a series of events. And then I would like some more formal stuff would happen as well. But I do have some ideas about how we could harness this new technology and our embracement of it to further our constitutional needs. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, the same question.
Thank you. So I've spent a large portion of the last year engaging in external groups that are sort of bodies that are doing the research and the work for supporting women in politics. So what I'd like to be able to do is bring some of that information within the group, and so that we are as a group lifted up and have that information amongst us. But I would also like us to be able to engage more with those groups. It's been very sad for me. I've been to Women's Day events where I've been the only Green Party woman. Hundreds of other women, and I've been the only Green Party woman. So I'd like to see more events like that. And I would also love to be able to get the word out for events where we have speakers coming in so that we are more informed and engaged in this sort of environment that we are in as women in politics, but also as advocates for other women. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And next up is Mariette and Siobhan. So I'm not sure what order you're doing this in, but you can sort yourselves out, ladies, and then okay, Mariette, you'll lead on this or answer the whole thing. And can you see the question? You're happy with that?
Okay, I'll speak first. So, all right, my favorite event was the talk by Afghan women. And then we had a march in London in solidarity with the women from Afghanistan and Iran as well. And I thought it was really powerful. I mean, to hear Malala speak was just such a highlight. It was amazing. Anyways, and also the meeting in Filia, we had a Green Party women meeting in Filia conference, and that also was another highlight for me. And I would like to organize a sort of an event, like I mentioned, an event of speakers from Nordic Model Now and the French group Osez le Féminisme to come and speak and give us some information about strategies on how to abolish the objectification and sexual abuse of women. And I don't know if Siobhan has anything to add, but thank you.
Yeah, I echo everything you say, Mariette, and particularly about the Afghan women. And I also enjoyed what was so interesting, the Spy Cops meeting. The book club and the bird watching has been great, and it's just been lovely to get to know people and feel strengthened and welcomed in that sort of really nice, warm environment. The future events, as per what Mariette has said, but I'd also like us to see work on a database on expertise and experience of women within the group, that if they're happy to share, so that we always have that up-to-date list that we can draw on and whatever as a resource to help us with events and conferences and things in the future.
Thank you both. That was brilliant. And next up, we'll just see. I'm gathering the timer has run out, so I think Sarah's on a thumbs up. And that means now we're over to Devon for your 90 seconds on this question. Can you still see the question? Everything okay with you to answer?
All good for me. Thank you, Tina.
Lovely.
So I really enjoyed the event that we had at conference. There was a panel hearing from women and from other Green parties, and I think that it was really powerful and very inspiring. And I like I haven't attended it, but I do really like the idea of a book club, and I think, you know, as membership secretary, I'd be doing a bad job if I wasn't making sure that members felt welcome and included and like they had a space to go to. But I also don't want us to get distracted from the real tangible action that we can be making as a liberation group within the Green Party. So it would mean more policy discussions, and panelists would be great, but also just making sure that we get out there, visiting different campaigns and making a voice and a name for ourselves that really gets behind what women need. So yeah, I would like to be doing a range of really action-based things for the party. I don't need it. That's fine. Thank you.
That's great, Devon. Thank you very much. I'll give Sarah a moment to reset, and we'll be going over in a moment.
I can do it off my phone. Fine.
Okay, so next up, when you start speaking, Lorna, then your 90 seconds starts. I assume you can see the question. It's clear?
Yeah. Thank you. So like Devon, I also attended the panel event at Green Party Conference. It was my first conference, having joined the Green Party sort of end of last year, having been a long-standing Labour member. But yeah, really inspired, and that sort of made me want to stand for Treasurer and the committee today. So in terms of sort of looking forward, you know, I'm a woman who works in an office, and actually some of the issues that sort of impacted me drawing on my own experiences, sort of women in the workplace and the role that we sort of play in society on that. So, you know, I'd be happy to sort of explore running an event looking at issues such as maternity leave, the menopause workplace pledge, and also the cost of childcare. And this links quite strongly back to my role as chair of a community centre, which is also a Sure Start Centre in West Hampstead. I also think it would be nice to link up with International Women's Day in March. The theme of this year is about embracing equity. So the creation of a fair and equal world. And I think it would be nice for us to kind of look at the role that green politics plays within that. I'd like to see a balance of kind of a social event, things like the book club, keeping that going, but also looking forward to sort of policy events as well, and how we can then influence GPECs and our representatives and make sure that we do have inclusive policies that support all women and non-binary members. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sarah, are you ready? Next up is Anne. So when you're ready with 90-second answer, and you've got clear access to the question, you're happy with that?
Yep.
Lovely.
Yes.
All yours, Anne.
Sorry. Yes. I've really valued a lot of the online stuff this year, because I'm in a fairly isolated area in Wales, geographically, and the nature of the valleys. So I've hardly got any local people who are members of the Green Party. And when I actually stood at the elections, I was the only person in the whole borough from the Green Party who stood. And it was the first time that had happened. So you can see how the links to everyone else has been invaluable. I have liked the spy cops. I wanted to take part in the Afghan women one, but unfortunately I wasn't available for that. But I have enjoyed the book club and sitting in on the meetings as well, so you learn what's being discussed. And yeah, I am a bit of a fanatic with photography, so I have done lots of photos which included birds. So going forwards, other things that I am interested in is photography. I also like walking, so maybe we could arrange some sort of events at some time, even if it's only once or twice a year. I've got lots of other interests which I would share with people, but I like geology as well, and all sorts of stuff. I've been active in the trade union movement and everything. So yeah, that's me.
That's lovely, Anne. Thank you very much for that. Next up is Sue, who I'm hoping can see the question and is happy to go ahead and answer. And I think Sarah's ready when you are. So your 90 seconds starts when you're ready.
Well, I think my 2-minute speech was mostly about how much I've got from the Green Party women this year with the social events, with the Zoom events. And like some others have mentioned, Ophelia this year, it was wonderful to actually see people in person instead of just on the other side of a computer screen. I have got other events that I'd like to organise. One of my major worries is the objectification of women, male entitlement, which manifests itself so many different ways. Violence against women and girls still isn't taken seriously enough. And as the mother of a daughter, I worry that young people have grown up in a society where porn isn't only increasingly available, but is increasingly violent and degrading. And the way it's warped young people's expectations of sex is quite frankly terrifying. And linked to this is the issue of prostitution. I attended the Nordic Model Now conference in London last year, and the stories of women who've escaped prostitution are harrowing. The slogan "sex work is work" makes me so angry. It's not work, it's abuse. The other issue, very important to me, women's health. Recent studies have shown that what we've said for years is true. Medical professionals don't take our health problems seriously. My own autism wasn't diagnosed till I was 50 because the model is based on a study of a handful of boys, and women's neurodiversity isn't recognised. That's just two, but I've got loads more. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Talia, and I think Sarah's ready when you are, Talia, and your 90 seconds will start then. Provided you have access to the question, you're okay to start? Talia, you need to unmute.
I became active in my local Green Party because I didn't see myself and my concerns reflected in action at my local council. And that is actually one of the reasons why I'm standing for this position in Green Party Women, is because I don't see my concerns, what I would like to see happening on this committee. And I am really keen to see more women elected, especially where I live in London. I would like to see more women of color coming forward, putting themselves forward for election and getting themselves elected, and creating that pipeline to mentor the talent that we know is out there and that we know is so important to implementing all of the policies that we're talking about that are so important to ensuring that women's, voices are heard and our concerns are addressed, and that we are represented on issues like the cost of living crisis, like, access to childcare, action generally against misogyny and crimes that are rooted in misogynistic patriarchy. And I would really like to see this group refocused on mentoring women into policy discussion, into campaigning on these issues, and into getting elected.
Thank you very much. And next up is Nicole Haydock. Nicole, can you see the question still? You're okay to answer it in 90 seconds? Nicole, you're on mute now.
Yeah, okay. Well, given that the committee lost half its members, half in midterm, I think we did an absolutely fantastic job of offering all these really challenging, interesting events. I forgot all of them, but you probably all remember the one at conference about our environmental campaigners, but also, of course, the one about the Afghan women. You may want to know that I'm the one who's started this process with a motion to say we supported the Afghan women and girls, and then kind of carried on to make sure that we actually had a really good meeting with a decent panel. What I think is important is whatever topic we choose should, if possible, link up with some sort of campaign that's going on, so that, as somebody mentioned, you know, you attended or you took part in the Afghan women, and then straight away the next day was a demonstration we could go to. I'd love to see more trade union members, women, being invited and discuss things like carers, cost of living, wages, obviously inequality in the workplace. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Next up, we've got Zoe, then Cheska. So Zoe first. And Zoe, if you're happy, you can see the question. Your 90 seconds wasn't starting until Sarah says. Sarah's thumb's gone up. It starts when you start.
Thank you. Great question. I really want to speak actually to what I'm noticing, which is maybe that many women have got very different experiences in all of the different parties that they're in across the country. So what I feel that all our events do is bring those women together, make a safe space for them, and they give them a real purposeful sense of belonging. Of course, for me, the most wonderful event was the one that happened at Autumn Conference, where we heard our international sisters speak to the environmental impact on women. It was so inspiring, but there have been so many wonderful events across the year that have built that sense of belonging. And I think that we cannot ask women to stand. And instantly, I stood as a parliamentary candidate because somebody asked me to stand. I think it's a fantastic campaign. I think women standing for election is fantastic. But as I think it was Jude who said earlier, you know, it's no good just to ask women to stand and then put them out there. We need to give them a team. We need to give them a sense of belonging. We need to give them a support network. So I really think that everything that's already being spoken about is wonderful, but what would really make it coherent is to build a pathway that starts with building a sense of belonging and building safe spaces for women, helping them to get their voices, to find their voices, to find their political home, then asking them to stand or support other campaigns, seeing how that works, shadowing people, and then moving to a place of getting them elected. And because we know that when we have not just a Green in the room, it makes a difference, but when we have a female Green in the room, that's when the impact is more than doubly impacted. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. And Cheska, if you can still see the question and you're okay, and when Sarah gives the thumbs up, it's up to you to start, and your 90 seconds will start when you do.
Thank you. For me, there's three key areas where I think we should focus on our events. The first is working more closely with the other liberation groups. So tonight I'm actually missing an event I organised with the Jewish Greens. One of the co-chairs is giving a workshop on anti-Semitism to Hackney Green Party. And as individuals, none of us can understand the challenges faced by all women. Talia's already mentioned Black and brown women. That's something that I can't relate to. So if we're going to be able to develop an inclusive policy as Green women, we need to understand all of the different sections of women and make sure their voices are heard. The second idea actually came from Zoe, so I'm going to steal that. I really like the idea of a pre-conference series of workshops in particular areas that really impact women, such as the NHS, housing, climate resilience. And third would be around that tutoring from organisations such as Ask Her to Stand and Elect Her, who are experts in their field at getting women elected. And as part of that, we could do mentor matching sessions between women who are from those smaller parties with those who are more developed, like Islington, for example, who have an established network of great women already there.
Excellent. That finishes off the answers from all the candidates to that question. And now we're going to move on to the next one. So the question for all candidates, for which you'll get a 90 seconds to respond, you'll get a 30-second warning, is this. And this one came in lots of different forms. The Equality Act protects specific groups at risk of discrimination. How will you ensure that all members of Green Party women feel welcome and that their freedom of speech and belief is respected? And what steps will you take to ensure increased representation of underrepresented groups at all levels of the party, including in leadership positions? It's going to be starting with Lorna, then Anne, Sue, and so on. And I assume Sarah's ready with the timer. And therefore, Lorna, it's over to you, to be followed by Anne. Your time starts when you do.
Thank you. That's a big question to go first. And I want to just also put on records that I fully support freedom of speech. And I fully support Green Party women being open to women of all definitions. So people that are assigned female at birth, or people who define themselves as a woman, and are non-binary members as well. So I would want to make sure that the committee continues, the group continues to be inclusive to all members in that regard. In terms of representation at groups of all levels of the party, actually, there's an interesting motion that's being put forward for discussion at the Spring Policy Conference, being put forward by Nate Higgins. And it's something that I wasn't actually aware of at the beginning, but I've sort of co-signed it, is that at the moment, the Green Party constitution says that women can only be a co-leader, and it doesn't actually say that the gender representation, it doesn't say that 2 women could be co-leaders, and I fully support that change that's being proposed to actually enable 2 women to be co-leaders of the party, because that's something that currently in its form only enables a woman to be a co-leader along with a man. So that's something, that I would be keen to champion alongside other members. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lorna. And now we're over to Anne for the same question in 90 seconds, if Sarah's thumbs up. Perfect. Anne, if you're happy to continue, then when you start speaking, your time will start.
Okay, yes. We had to, obviously, when I was working for trade unions as a branch secretary, we had to be very mindful of the Equality Act, and it deals, as you know, with age, disability, gender reassignment, marriage and civil partnerships, race, religion or belief, sex and sexual orientation. So it's an awful lot to take on board, and we would have to work as a team to work out ways of encouraging people who aren't already active to get involved, and we'd have to work with the membership secretary and form links with the other liberation groups like the disabled group and everything else, and just try and come up with different topics, different themes, different subjects that would encourage other people who aren't currently involved to do so. And I think it's vital to do what we can to get more people involved and more women. Everyone's able to become a member of all the different groups, so we've just got to work out, maybe through a survey, why some people from those underrepresented groups aren't involved, and just go from there. I can't think of anything else I'd suggest.
Thank you very much, Anne. And you're just coming up to perfect timing anyway. Okay, next it's over to Sue for the same question, 90 seconds. And if Sarah's thumbs up, that's great. And when you're ready.
Hi, I think that's such a good question, because we aren't very representative. Just looking around us, we're mostly white. I don't know whether we're most able-bodied or not, because his disabilities can be hidden. My autism isn't obvious until you spent a little while in a room with me, and then you can't hide it. We do need to be more representative, and I think one of the things that we can do is just model really great welcoming behaviour, and I think we've done that already this evening, the way the hustings have been connected, that we've listened respectfully to each other. And I think by welcoming all people, we can encourage others. What unites us is more important than what divides us. We're all here because we care about the environment, we're passionate about environmental justice, we're passionate about social justice, and we can respect differences. I am concerned about the underrepresentation of disabled women in particular. There were some things that really shocked me at conference this year. I attended by Zoom, and I was watching things like Zai having to present from the floor. The stage wasn't accessible to her. There were people trying to attend by Zoom who had all sorts of access problems with computer system, with audio problems. And I do think that's something that needs to be taken more seriously, and we need to work with other groups.
Thank you very much, Sue. Next over straight away to Talia. If you can see the question, you're happy to proceed, and Sarah's thumbs up, then by all means get started.
I feel like I've spoken about this quite a bit already. As a person from one of the underrepresented groups, I'm very lucky that I'm in Islington, where we do have, an amazing woman leader on the council and on the London Assembly. And we also have like an amazing person of color who is, really forward about contacting people, including people and making sure that people are putting themselves forward for positions of leadership, for positions of responsibility, and to stand for election and to offer them support. So I have support in Islington from two different directions. One person of color who's got a similar sort of religious background to my family, and another woman. And I feel like creating the connections and pathways to offer that type of mentorship to other women of color, to other women, with disabilities, whatever it is, that we can create those nurturing connections, those opportunities for mentorship to nurture the leadership that, of the future. That's absolutely what we need to be doing, working with the other liberation groups and helping those people to put themselves forward.
Thank you very much, Talia. And now the next speaker is Cheska. Cheska, if you're happy, you can see the question. Your 90 seconds starts when you're ready, because Sarah appears to be ready as well.
Lovely, thank you. So first off, I do want to say that there is a difference between freedom of speech, which should absolutely be cherished in this country, and respecting everyone's beliefs as they are. Hate speech is a crime, and if I was elected as co-chair, one of the first things that I would look to implement is a safe spaces policy, so that all women and non-binary people who attend our meetings can feel safe, and their views can be discussed in a respectful way. But aside from that, I had the experience as part of my professional life of working across liberation groups, working with company boards to put in place the policies that increase diversity. I'm the global CEO of a technology company, so I don't just have to understand the Equality Act of the UK, but Europe, Africa, Asia, and the US as well. But what we learned from London is that what works to get more diverse people is asking them and supporting them, whether that be with extra resources, extra people, funding when necessary, and creating that team around a candidate that can support them to get elected and thrive once they are a candidate and an elected person, whether that be a councillor or a mayor.
Thank you very much, Cheska. And so it's over to Zoe if Sarah's ready. And Zoe's ready and can see the question. Your time starts when you do.
Thank you. So it's almost like this question comes in two parts. First of all, just to speak to the aspect of respect. I think that has to come really, as has already been said, from a place of modelling and a place of integrity, of really recognising, as I've already spoken about, that diversity, that difference is not just something to be tolerated, it's actually something to be welcomed. I fundamentally believe, as a Green, as with regards to our ecological network, we are all part of a greater whole. And so, when we all come together, when we listen to each other's voices, that's when we find the most effective and the most powerful solutions. And it really does need each of us to find the right answers in order to move forward. The second part, what will I do to make sure that increased representation of underrepresented groups, as has already been said here, absolutely building bridges is vital. Building connections with other special interest groups is really important. And making sure that not only we are asking people to get elected, but doing things like, the committee have done this year, which is create a panel so that we who have more privilege are doing the heavy lifting and doing a lot of the hard work, but making sure that those voices are raised up as and when they can be, because I'm recognising that if we don't make space for other women's voices, then they're not going to want to come forward to take positions of power and responsibility further down the line.
Thanks so much, Zoe. Just taking my time for a minute. If Sarah's nearly ready. I think it was going to run over. Yeah, okay. And then Nicole Haydock, if you can see the question and you're happy, your 90 seconds will start as soon as you start speaking. Thank you.
Like Zoe, I agree. This is actually a two-part section, really. So I'm going to deal with the first one because what Zoe said about the second one, I couldn't disagree with. I totally agree with her approach to the idea of how to increase representation. But I'll concentrate on the question about the Equalities Act, because we have a problem in the party in that our own policy, RR 530, which stems from C4 motion adopted in 2016, is actually in contravention of the Equalities Act. So until we review our policy, we're going to have problems with the Equalities Act. So that's the first problem I see with that question. It doesn't actually explain the difficulty that we're having at the moment, particularly with regard to the respect, the protected rights of different groups. So with that sort of thing hanging around the party, we are stuck a little bit with talking about the Equalities Act. Unfortunately, this could end up with us being in court sometime this year. So until we sort this out, I find it difficult to see how the party can actually be not discriminating against various people with characteristics. As for representation, you know.
Sorry, Nicole.
Yeah, that's
Thank
fine.
you so much. So sorry. Okay, next up we've got the job share. So Siobhan and Mariette. Not sure which one of you wants to start, but if Sarah's ready, she'll start timing you as soon as one of you starts speaking on this.
Hi there, it's Siobhan. I'm going to go first. There's been so many good answers here that, you know, I'm sure we'll all want to steal and work on together to build for the future. As has been said before, the Green Women's Group has got a conditioning and strengthening body that helps people speak up, join positively and get involved. Maybe there's a place for new members being actively sought out and welcomed when they join. Perhaps we need to consider how we monitor that all the 9 groups are represented within our women's group. And we need to have more events, as has been said, where we invite specific groups and speakers and make those constructive links. But the Green Party, as also has been mentioned, must be nurturing and welcoming, and that does mean real positive discussion, you know, in a respectful way, so that we can move forward and you know, make the Green Women's Group reflective of all those minority groups, but also the Green Party itself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mariette. Did you have any? Is there time for Mariette, Sarah? No, that's it. That's lovely. Okay, moving on now. Moira, provided your connection's okay, if you start speaking, if anything goes wrong, we'll bring you back in. Is Moira visible?
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much. I've turned off my camera to try to help my connector. Sorry about that. These are 2 separate questions. And the second one is a very interesting, broader question about the role that the GPW might play in the wider party in terms of foregrounding a better representation of different groups. The first question, which is about members of GPW feeling welcome and about freedom of speech and all that, for me, that's down to due process. I think that the present committee has put in place some very useful strategies to help us to do that. But if we have due process, good internal processes, democratic internal democracy, then I think that there will be spaces for people, for disagreements, for differences of opinion, for different shades of opinion, for us to constructively learn from each other's perspectives, because we all only bring 1 or 2 perspectives. So for me, that's about internal democracy. Thanks, I'm done now.
Sorry, Maura, you do have 30 seconds if you want it.
No, thanks, I'm all done.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. I'll hang on for Sarah to get ready. Next up is Jude. And just to let you know, there's only 3 left to go on this question. Jude, Laura, then Devon. Jude, if you're ready and Sarah's ready, 90 seconds on this question, then Laura, then Devon.
Well, the Equality Act, yes. I'm going to agree with Nicola that we've got some policy traps already in place in Green Party that mean that we are going to increasingly have problems with the law. There's no, it's a really big issue that we've got possibly 3 court cases to do with gender critical beliefs and possibly 3 court cases to do with race issues in the party. And I think this stems from a fundamental lack of attention to policy in the law. We don't have a policy officer. I would say that we need to have an appointed policy officer, paid member of staff who is legally trained to stop us from making some really, really dreadful mistakes. Now, what can Green Party women do about this? It's one of the reasons I want to join the committee, actually. We need to model some of the behaviours and understandings of how you protect freedom of speech and belief in the party and show how it can be done. It's not just that as soon as somebody says something you don't agree with, you complain and punish people. That must stop. We must stop it in the party. It's absolutely got to stop. Otherwise, the party will just fail. It's already failing on so many levels to do with this issue, and I am so tired of it. So what to do about leadership? Well, again, I think one of the things we could say is the way to become a leader at the moment is to have time, energy, resources, and not have children. So, you know, if you're young and able-bodied and able to take on that leadership role, you can whiz in and with the support of London parties or whatever. So it's a much bigger issue about how we get diverse people into leadership. It's a very, very complicated issue. I'll be really happy to talk to people more about it and to bring some of my expertise and knowledge, particularly from some of our experiences in Bristol, actually, we're dealing with this issue.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And next 2 are Laura, then Devon, then a break. So Laura, when you're ready, and Sarah will start timing you the moment you start speaking.
Thank you. So with this question, I'm going to draw on my personal strengths and experience, which is about lobbying and trying to change transport and education policy when it comes to the Equality Act due to disability rights. I understand that often the Equality Act asks things of us that can be inconvenient, but the inconvenience does not mean that it doesn't apply. I feel as women, we have so much intersectional needs that when you have somebody that understands how complicated and difficult it can be to uphold those rights and needs for people, that you bridge that gap where we aren't just seen as women in a sphere of its own, but it's actually expanded out so that we understand that we may be supporting the Equality Act in terms of what it represents for women, but we should also be representing it for other situations. So I think the key thing we should be focusing on is accessibility and communication. I attend a lot of best practice seminars with Microsoft and the RNIB and various other organisations. And if we are not communicating with our members in a way that is accessible to them, we may well not be communicating at all. So I think it's really important that we get to the best practice level with that, and we create a membership so that we have people that can see it to know they can be it.
Thank you very much, Laura. Well done. And finally, Devon, if you can still see the question and you're happy to answer, Sarah will start timing you once you start speaking.
Thank you. I agree with quite a few points that have been made, mostly in regards to ensuring that it's a safe environment in order for people to come forward, because you can't have free speech if you don't have the confidence to do it, and women suffer with that more than most. Having seen that from the women's groups that I have run and been a part of, you only get confidence if you hear somebody else say something. So making sure that we foster an environment where people feel like they can say something, and not, you know, it's not just about shutting people down, but it's making sure that people in all forms of that conversation feel comfortable and that they feel safe. Yeah, I suppose in regards to the other question about increased representation, I think I agree. Again, it comes down to communication, and we do need to be making sure that we have direct links to the other liberation groups. Otherwise, what's the point in having us all if we don't communicate and we don't speak to each other? It's an absolute waste of resources. So we have an opportunity to really come together and create action. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm very simple person.
Thank you so much for that, Devon. Just before we go into the break, I'm going to give about 15 seconds to Mariette, because I did miss earlier where she had a bit left when there was 30 seconds over. There was a bit left, and I didn't manage to bring her in for that. So Mariette, did you want to come in as part of the job share and finish off your time allocation?
Yes, thank you. I'm just going to be very quick. One group that is absent, I find, are women with learning disabilities. And they tend to be absent in pretty much all political spheres. So I'm just wondering, where is their voice? Who represents them? Who help, maybe we need to make some links with MenCap and get some women with learning disabilities. And that interest comes from me because I've got a son with Down syndrome. So I know a lot of young women with Down syndrome and other learning disabilities.
Thank you very much for that, Mariette. Well worth including. Question 4 for all candidates. How will you encourage an increase in women's membership of the Green Party and empower women to get more engaged in political activity? So that's getting more members into more women into the Green Party, and then helping those women to get more politically active within it. So we're going to start with Devon, then Nicole and Zoe. So Devon, when you're ready, your 60 seconds will start the moment you start talking, and Sarah will give you a 10-second warning at the end.
Thank you. I think basically for me, it comes down to 3 things. In order for women to feel encouraged to join the Green Party, I think they have to see representation. So they have to see that they'll be able to have a voice, which will be can be done, I suppose, by doing the second bit properly, which is empowering women to get more involved. When I joined, and I have a learning disability, so policy and stuff like that isn't my best suit, but I'm fab at talking to people, and so that's probably what I would focus on, which is a good one to do as membership. But probably phone banks and things like that. We need to make sure that the people that are part of Green Party Women know what we're doing. They know what's going on. And we need to make sure that we're communicating it in other ways, not just like via email. And that phone banking is one of the sure ways to get people involved and make sure that they feel like they can come forward, and nothing works like a personal invitation.
Wonderful, Devon. Thank you very much. We're next on to Nicole Haydock. Your answer to this question in 60 seconds, and you'll get a 10-second warning from Sarah. So start when you're ready.
Yeah, ready? Sarah? Are you signing me? Yeah.
Go ahead, Nicole.
I can't hear you. Can't hear you, Sarah.
That's a yes, Nicole.
Okay, fine. I'll start then. Okay, well, we have a bit of a problem with recruiting women because of all the resources are really focused on target to win. And I think many women that don't really come to politics because of elections in the first place, particularly green politics. So I think whilst target to win is important, there should be more attached to it or around it. In particular, following up on the data collected from the actual election. If you go out and about, knocking on hundreds of doors, you will come across women who might be interested to join. But, that's not really what the target to win purpose is. So I think a follow-up to a target to win campaign really could pay off by recruiting more women. As for women who already joined, I think we've got a problem with the membership database. I think women who join should automatically be registered to be members of Green Party Women.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Now over to Zoe. Ready for your 60 seconds if Sarah gives you the thumbs up.
Thanks. A really interesting question again. We're going to want to get our message out beyond the walls of the Green Party that as it is, in order to make sure that we are heard and to make sure that we're an attractive proposition for women. We all know as Greens that actually we have the best policies, and we all know that we have the best policies for women. It's really important to make sure that's heard. Now, this is already part of the strategy of the current Green Party Women Committee, because they've been making fantastic events that are going to reach outside of the party. What we need to make sure is that all voices are welcome. I've been building already bridges with the communication aspects, the communication staff within the party, in order to make sure that the events that we do get promoted further afield. But really, as I've just said, we need to make sure that all voices are heard, and that, I'd just like to reiterate what Jude said, has to include GC voices and their legitimate concerns. We have to make it a safe space for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Zoe. Straight on now to Cheska. If Sarah's ready for you, your 60 seconds start when you do.
Thank you. We've already been doing a lot of work on this at a Hackney level, because we know we're not representative of our borough. So things that we've been looking at is reaching out to community groups, such as Sister Space, who have been in the public arena recently for all of the wrong reasons. We know that social media doesn't win elections, but it can increase membership. So I would talk to Carla Denya and Ria Patel about how we could leverage their profiles in order to get our message out. And I would also target timely campaigns that focus on women's issues, such as working with Amelia Womack to make sure that making misogyny a hate crime gets pushed up the agenda as far as possible. I know that from the mentoring of young girls locally that I do, that you can't be what you can't see. And that's why storytelling, both internal and external, is so important. And also helping new members to find their home. If it's not in your local party, it might be a liberation or a policy group. You need to feel connected.
Thank you very much, Cheska. And next on is Moira, provided your internet connection's okay, sweetheart.
Yeah, we seem to have improved there. Thank you. This is a very, very important question, and it's at the core of who and what we are as Green Party women. It is our core task to empower women and non-binary people. And to make them, we need to have a safe space, as people were saying. We need voices to be heard respectfully, and that's voices across the spectrum. And that, frankly, has not happened in this last year within this group. We have not been as respectful to each other as is absolutely essential that we should be. So I would hope that I could contribute a little to that kind of coming together of mutual respect over the coming year. And then we move on to, if we can be strong, then we can get women involved, and we can have greater representation at the other levels of politics.
Thank you, Maura. Just as an aside to the current and existing hardworking committee, not all views are always shared. Okay, next up is Siobhan Mariette. I'm not sure how you want to answer this. You've got 60 seconds. So I think Siobhan's starting or taking the whole question. It'll start anyway as soon as Sarah gives you the thumbs up and you start talking.
Sure. Can you hear me now? So I think it's really the Green Party it has the main role in increasing membership support, with the Green Party women acting as sort of a big contribution to ideas and a consultancy on that. But the Green Party has to put forward more policies that are welcoming and supportive to women. And that means policies that appeal to working class women more and to mothers more. Therefore, you know, the Green Party women then can nurture our new members when they arrive. So over to you, Mariette.
The Green Party, to get more women or to keep more women in the Green Party, it needs to stand firmly by women's sex-based rights.
Thank you very much for that, Maria and Siobhan. And next up is Laura with your 60 seconds. Sarah, waiting for Sarah's thumbs up though. And I see a nice palm. That's it, thumbs up. So we're ready to go, Laura, when you are.
Thank you. So anybody that knows me and has met me in person is I'm very much about talking to people and engaging them in what matters to them, hearing those things and then bringing them to a group. So I would like us to engage more with non-members and obviously our members on their key priorities. So as their representatives and their group, we can amplify that. When they feel like they're being seen and heard, they're more likely to engage with us and have that confidence. So I think that's really important. I also think we shouldn't reinvent the wheel. We've got organisations doing amazing things to amplify and support women within politics. So we should be encouraging people to engage with them so that we all have a far wider reach of understanding of what our needs and the intersectional needs of other women's are.
Thank you very much. And now over to Jude for your 60 seconds when Sarah gives you a thumb. Then you'll just start speaking and you'll have your 60-second and a 10-second warning. And that will be in just a moment when we see the famous thumb. Thumb, thumb, lovely. Go for it, Jude.
I think the Green Party has a problem with membership generally. We've got one member in, one member out at the moment. So retaining people is a really big problem. And one of the reasons we can't retain women is because the environment for women, particularly women who want to champion sex-based rights, has been so terrible recently. So we need to do something about that. We cannot hemorrhage good women from the party. I see it happening in all sorts of big parties, and it's just a really, really wasteful resource. The other thing is that we should be doing better membership generally. So I'd like to see Green Party women telling or showing the field officers and the leadership and doing a proper piece of work on why women are not coming to the party. I know on one level it's to do with policies, to do with prostitution, to do with sex work. I've been on the Women's Commission of Bristol Council for 5 years, and women said to me, I would say, join the Green Party, and they would say, not while you still have those policies. There are some policies within our organisation that are just not making it easy.
Thank you, Jude. I have to stop you. Okay, thank you very much. Next up is Talia, 60 seconds. When you get the thumbs up from Sarah.
I think we need to be very direct in addressing and campaigning on the policies that really affect women, the issues that really affect women: childcare, cost of childcare, inequality, austerity, cost of living crisis. Other less obvious issues like active transport and safe cycling routes, public transport, stuff like that, which is actually hardest for women and children to access. And those are the real issues affecting women. We have to be unapologetic in campaigning for those things, in addressing them in a progressive, inclusive, intersectional way, and not get into a manufactured culture war that plays into the hands of the far right.
Thank you very much. We have 3 left: Sue, Lorna, then Anne. And then after that, we'll be doing the 30-second roundups and calling this to a close. So Sue, if you're ready, and you wait till you see Sarah's thumb, right? So you're ready to speak, Sue, whenever you like, for your 60 seconds with a 10-second warning.
Right. The other candidates are absolutely right. We've got to have women policies that appeal to women. I don't need to go into those because they've already been mentioned. Once women have joined the party, to get them more involved in political activity, we need to make sure they feel confident, they feel welcome, and that they've got the skills. So Green Party women can do all those things that we are all doing already, the events that are going on, the networking, the emailing out so that people feel involved, encouraging women to come to observe committee meetings so they feel a sense of ownership. But then we need to give them the skills, and Green Party women have started to do that already. We had the amazing public speaking event, the event before conference to empower women. I've recently been to the South East Elections University, which is incredible for giving you the skills and the confidence. And I think we could run events like that to empower women to take a more active role.
Thank you very much, Sue. Next, for the 60-second answer, when Sarah's ready, will be Lorna. If you just wait, the thumbs up now. So if you're happy to answer now, then go ahead, Lorna.
Yeah, thank you very much. In terms of the first part of the question about how to encourage increase of women into the Green Party, I think it's very clear that we need a set of policies that appeal to a really broad range of women in society. And I think, as I've mentioned before, things like cost of living, austerity, violence against women, and and representation in politics, you know, key issues that I would like to see us sort of campaigning on. But it's not just about campaigning, it's also about communicating and engaging. So working with women's forums, national women's charities, and also sort of community groups where it all sort of have roots into, to really demonstrate the impacts that the Green Party is doing and having for women. And in terms of how to get more people engaged, I think a lot of women that you speak to who are involved in political life actually get involved because other women encourage them to. So I would support the Ask Her to Stand movement and encourage us to sort of get more involved that way. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And finally on this question, in fact of all the questions, the final answer now, Anne, your 60 seconds starts if Sarah's done a thumbs up. Yep, so your 60 seconds starts when you start speaking. Thank you.
Right, thanks so much. In relation to more women joining the Greens, I think you have to be relevant to their lives at the moment. And a lot of people are too worried about whether they can pay the gas bill than politics. I think we need, as a party, to focus on the environment and science. I also feel, I mean, I nearly didn't stay when I first joined. It wasn't a very pleasant situation. And I know my sister left. She joined briefly and left because there wasn't a very friendly atmosphere. So it is making sure that we can work together politely, but also it's not easy when you're not in a big city. So a different approach, different tactics have to be adopted to reach out to people like me who are in the middle of nowhere, really. In some respects, we don't have good transport links or anything like that. So the online is vital.
Thank you very much, Anne. Thank you all candidates for your answers, to really full and interesting answers to all the questions. It's been a brilliant evening. And as an outgoing committee co-chair, I just couldn't be more excited to know that the committee is going to be in good hands, however they are. Right, so now, everybody, you've got 30 seconds, which sounds awful. I'm so sorry. I feel like we're really depriving you. But you have 30 seconds each now to sum up why you are the best damn candidate for this role in Green Party Women. So the order's just been placed in the chat. So we're going to start. I'm just talking for a little while, so Sue's got time to get herself together, and then it will be Talia, then Lorna, and then we'll go on to the rest of them, and then we'll close the meeting as close to 9 o'clock as we can. But just hang in there and we'll get everybody on. Okay, Sue, if you're ready, and if Sarah's ready, a mere 30 seconds with a 10-second warning, and away you go.
Okay. This time last year, I was in the same position as all the observers. I was watching the hustings. I didn't know anybody in Green Party Women, and I've gained so much from being part of Green Party Women, and now it's time to pay it forward. Green Party Women has enabled me to find my voice this year, and I want to help other women to find theirs, and that's it.
I hadn't even considered that I can't pour a cup of coffee during 30 seconds. Okay, so next up is Talia, if Sarah's ready. Yep, Sarah's ready. So Talia, your 30 seconds starts now.
I am super keen to join Green Party Women's Committee and increase the transparency and communication to members and get more women engaged in mentoring and nurturing new green women to campaign on issues that affect women and get more women elected.
Very concise. Thank you very much. Next up is Lorna, and then after that it will be Anne. So if Sarah gives the thumbs up, right, that's okay. Lovely. Lorna, these 30 seconds starts when you're ready.
Brilliant. Sort of three key reasons why I think I'd be a good asset to the committee. First of all, my passion for delivering on campaigns on the issues that matter most to women. I've outlined a lot of those issues already. I've got a strong commitment to ensuring that the committee is inclusive to all our women members and non-binary members. And I've also got experience of being treasurer in the voluntary sector and as a local government councillor as well.
Thank you very much, Lorna. Next up will be Anne when Sarah gives the thumbs up. Feel free to start your 30 seconds when you'd like.
Right. I would just like to say that being involved this last year in Green Party Women has certainly given me the confidence to get back involved in politics after having some bad experiences. I'm keen to use my skills and knowledge that I've gained over the years through the trade union movement and other areas to help other women also gain that confidence. And I would like to hope that everyone, whatever happens, continue to be actively involved in Green Party Women.
Thank you very much, Anne. Devon, you're going to be next. When you see the thumbs up from Sarah, feel free to start speaking for your 30-second answer.
Thank you. As I've said, I've worked with women before, and I've worked with our CRM before, and I'd love to be welcoming members. I have had experience where I know that members didn't feel welcome within Green Party Women, and I'd like to make sure that that isn't a problem anymore. So I'd like to make sure that we are as inclusive as we can possibly be. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Devon. And now we're on to when we get a thumbs up from Sarah. It'll be Cheska to start. Yep, thumbs up. That's great. Cheska, you can take your 30 seconds when you like.
Thank you to everyone for this evening. In addition to getting women into the rooms where they have power, I want to share that we know that when women come together, magic happens. I had a chance meeting with Laura at Candidate School recently. She talked about the work that she does as a tree warden coordinator. And as a result of a 5-minute conversation, I'm now setting up a tree warden coordination in Hackney. We connect, we act, and we make an impact. That's what we do as women.
Thank you very much. Zoe, your 30 seconds when Sarah gives you a thumbs up. Fantastic. So Zoe, when you're ready, your 30 seconds.
Thanks. My experience in multiple roles across the party in executive positions means that I know how to make things happen and I know how to make things work. And that's what I want to do for us all, to make Green Party Women work for all of us and for women everywhere. I offer integrity, a spirit of collaboration alongside focus and vision. Above all else, if elected, I promise to lead Green Party Women with courage and conviction. So thanks so much for listening. Thanks to everybody for being here tonight. I really hope that what I've said will encourage you to vote for me as your first choice for co-chair.
Thank you, Zoe. And next one up for 30-second answer is Nicole Haydock. And if Sarah's done the thumbs up, we're free for you to start whenever you feel comfortable, Nicole.
Yeah, if elected as co-chair, what you get from me is a doer who cares passionately about the future of our party and its well-being. You will get somebody with a sound inside knowledge of what works and what needs improving inside the party if we want to remain the champion of the environment, economic justice and women as a class. You will also get someone with decades of experience as a leader and a team member who is not afraid to speak truth to power, whoever they may be.
Thank you very much, Nicole. And next up, God, everybody's so good tonight. On to Laura, 30 seconds. When you're ready, Sarah. Yeah, okay, that's lovely. So 30 seconds when you're ready, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody coming. My hope within this role is to increase women's representation in politics by gaining election wings with an active focus for a diverse selection of women standing and the advocacy for the needs of all women within the Green Party and in politics as a whole.
Thank you very much, Laura. Next up in 30 seconds, when Sarah says no, not yet. When Sarah says thumbs up is Jude, then Moira, and then Siobhan and Mariette, and then we're done. So Jude, we're ready for you whenever you're comfortable.
I think it's really important that Green Party Women becomes a very, very loud, radical and strong voice for women inside the party. That will then be seen outside the party. And the political party that gets this right on the women's issue and makes it their party a safe space for women who want to work for the party will be the political party that grows in the next 10 years. And that's what I want the Green Party to be, a party that grows and develops with some good policies, not one that stagnates and fights amongst itself until it runs out of money.
Thank you very much. Next is Moira. If your internet connection's okay, you've got 30 seconds.
Still here. Thank you. Yes, I would, if I'm elected, I hope I've made it clear what I bring, a sense of fairness and open communication. And I offer to the group my skills in terms of systems and particular constitutional systems. And I hope that's a helpful offer. And if it's not, that's totally cool.
And finally, we have job shares, Siobhan and Mariette. Your 30 seconds, however you want to do it. I think I'm seeing Mariette's lovely hand. So Mariette's going to start this or finish it all together.
Okay, if elected, Siobhan and I will support the work of Green Party Women to raise the voices of ecofeminism and protect our sex-based rights.
Well, everybody did brilliantly. Thank you so much. I think that you can't help but have attended this hustings and walk away feeling exhilarated by the passion. Not everybody might be on the same page, but they're on a page and they're determined to make it happen. So thank you to all the candidates particularly, as well as to everybody who attended for a really fair, reasonable and very grown-up hustings. Those of you who are entitled to vote will receive your emails at about midnight tonight. And that's for people who identify as women or gender variant, and you're entitled to vote. And we want to, as the outgoing Green Party Women's Committee, wish the very, very best of luck to each and every candidate, and may the best woman win. Thank you.